This boy was reincarnated as a baby, but he wasn't normal. In his past life, he was an S-rank hunter, known as the Adapter, a man capable of absorbing monsters and using their powers as weapons. And even after being reborn, that power remained. Now, even as a baby, he already shocks the world. While others are learning to walk, he absorbs monsters. He adapts their bodies and turns everything into power. And the more he fights, the more forms he gains. In a completely destroyed city, the scene is one of total chaos and smoke. Suddenly, a gigantic creature emerges, roaring furiously amidst the rubble. Leaping through the air, a warrior charges forward and lands a direct blow on the monster. He stands over the defeated colossal enemy, taking in the result. Tired, he sits beside the carcass for a brief moment of rest. With a smile, he says the trash disposal is complete, totaling 32 bodies. Since 2024, the world has been dominated by monsters, and only the transcendent can fight back. Meanwhile, a group of soldiers is being massacred, screaming for reinforcements that never arrive. Another creature appears and prepares to devour one of the surviving soldiers. Arriving in the nick of time, the warrior kicks the monster away, saving the man. His face dirty, he then updates his count to 33. Known as Adapter K, he stands victorious over the newly defeated creature. He then realizes that things were fine, but something feels wrong now. Startled, he says the information he received was different from the current reality. Over the communicator, he asks if he was deceived, and the voice tells him to call him Master. He explains that since he's not on the front lines, information errors can happen. Just then, a soldier screams in desperation, warning that there's still one creature standing. Turning his head, he spots the imminent danger right in front of him. Then a gigantic, unknown monster appears, preparing to pounce. Hit head-on, he's thrown backward by the impact of the blow. Lying on the ground, he hears the creature ask if he's finally dead. He then laments that he just wanted to live freely for a single day. Suddenly, his vision shatters, and he finds himself in an unknown place. Realizing he isn't dead, he's startled to see his hands are those of a baby. Looking around, he finds himself inside a crib and understands his situation. Then someone's footsteps slowly approach his crib, putting him on alert. Frightened, he then asks who is there in the dark room with him. Seeing a shadow over the crib, he wonders if the organization has found him. But then, a gentle and delicate hand takes his tiny hand. Coming closer, the woman calls him AG and says that his mother is here. Confused by the situation, he tries to understand what's happening around him. From a distance, his new mother watches him as he remains quiet in the crib. Still not understanding, he keeps wondering what's going on in this place. Looking at the TV, he notices there are no signs of monsters anywhere. Then, he realizes he has been reincarnated in a timeline without the catastrophe. With a smile, he finally understands what this new chance means for him. Celebrating, he shouts that he's free and that fate hasn't abandoned him. Seeing a calendar, he vows to remember this day as a new beginning. In shock, he sees the year as 2020, before the great catastrophe. Breaking down, he laments that he can do absolutely nothing with his baby body. Trying to pull himself together, he tells himself that he is the great K-sama. Affirming that nothing is impossible, he prepares to try and stand up. He immediately falls, realizing he can barely balance on the mattress. He tries to speak, but his throat feels strange and he still can't. Frustrated, he says he can't do anything when every second is important. Watching the woman, he wonders if he should trust her in this new life. But he quickly changes his mind, deciding he will use her to his advantage. Trying to grab a box, she drops everything on herself and screams. Next, she tries another task, but proves to be just as clumsy. While trying to cook, she ends up setting the pan on fire, terrifying him. Even covered in soot, she announces that his food will be ready soon. Slumping in his crib, he concludes that his new life is going to be very difficult. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, and she announces that a delivery has just arrived. She then heads towards the door to get the package from outside. Rushing to the door, she asks the delivery person to wait just a moment. He tenses at the word, remembering that delivery people come into contact with so many others. At this, he panics at the possibility of the person being infected. Seeing the door move, he goes on high alert, expecting the worst. Desperate, he tries to scream, "No," but can only babble the word package. Outside, a figure leaves the package on the ground and walks away. Placing the box on the ground, the creature asks them to please take it. Then, the monster begs them to take the package as quickly as possible. Suddenly, several tentacles burst from the box and spread throughout the room. With a look of astonishment, he refuses to believe the scene before him. Looking for something useful, he wonders if he can use anything nearby. With all his might, he then grabs the baby bottle that was next to him. Using the object, he bangs on the crib's railing to try and make some noise. Just then, one of the tentacles shoots toward him at high speed. Hit head-on, He ends up being thrown to the back of the crib. Landing on the pillow, he's stunned as he holds the baby bottle tightly. A powerful blow then strikes the creature from before. He knows that if he touches that thing, he will definitely die. Remembering his past life, he recalls learning everything about monsters in combat. Analyzing the creature, he realizes it's an amplification-type monster. Seeing the tentacles on its head, he notes that they seem to be more troublesome. Deciding to take a risk, he throws the baby bottle on the floor, and the monster smashes it. Knowing this type has low agility, he diverts the attack toward the window. The monster is hurled outside, and he says that's what happens. He then grins, preparing to counterattack. Thankful for his past battles, a mechanical tail suddenly emerges from him. The tail lunges forward at high speed, surprising him with its own power. With a precise strike, the tail pierces through the monster's head, defeating it completely. Afterward, the tail returns to his side, and he asks if it's eating. Holding the tip of the tail, he tries to understand what it really is. With wide eyes, he finally recognizes the ability from his past life. Recalling his battles, he reveals that it's the powerful tail of Tao Tie. He then wonders why he has his old abilities so early now. Completely lost, he screams that he doesn't understand what's happening anymore. Despite this, he says it's lucky, as the tail absorbs monster cores. With a smile, he decides to test the absorption ability right then and there. Just then, the tail shoots out and strikes the defeated monster's core. He then explains that the earlier you awaken, the greater your abilities become. Smiling, he wonders if he'll now reach the legendary SSS class level. Imagining the future, he declares with conviction that his era has finally arrived. Determined, he crawls away from the crib, saying he won't stay there any longer, but suddenly he stops in his tracks, unable to move. Stuck to the floor, he wonders why he can't move anymore. Looking back, he realizes the crib leg has snagged his diaper. Sensing the danger, he sees the crib is about to fall on top of him. His mother screams his name in despair as she sees the dangerous scene unfold. Still trapped, he can't break free in time as she keeps screaming. Remembering the past, he recalls eating dog food just to survive. Back then, he was treated like a loyal dog by that terrible organization. Angrily, he screams to himself that he is not a dog. Suddenly waking up, he finds himself lying in bed, completely safe. He then realizes he must have passed out after all that effort. Sitting on the couch, he wonders if his mother managed to save him in time. Analyzing the situation, he concludes he can only maintain his power for 30 seconds. Clenching his fist, he decides he just needs to train to get much stronger. Feeling the after effects of his power, he lets out a low groan, still recovering. Looking to the side, he notices his mother is crying while writing something. Reading the diary, he sees a note saying she almost hurt her treasure. As she keeps writing, he just watches her in silence, processing the situation. Realizing her injury was from protecting him, he compares her to his previous mother. Gently, he reaches out and touches her arm as a way to comfort her. Surprised by the gesture, she looks at him with eyes full of emotional tears. Hugging him tightly, she says he's different, so he decides to stay. Looking at the city, he knows the world will change drastically in just 1 week. Foreseeing the danger, he warns that the next monster is about to appear. Just then, a window washer is possessed by a strange slime that covers him. Transforming rapidly, the slime takes the form of a new, dangerous creature. As he tries to think about his plans, he hears his mother calling his name. With a smile, she asks what he thinks of the present she brought. Revealing the gift, she cheerfully shows him a dog inside a cage. Shocked, he recognizes the dog, and she explains it was a gift from a neighbor. Complaining about its size, he thinks the dog is too big to be a baby's friend. Watching his mother, he concludes that she's a bit absent-minded about things, but with a mischievous smile, he seems to have a new idea in mind. Imagining the future, he thinks training the dog might be a good idea. Noticing his smile, his mother comments that he looks very happy. Determined, he declares that he first needs to establish who's boss through food. Offering the food, he asserts that since he's the one feeding it, he's now the master. But the dog just stares at him with a confused look, not understanding at all. He then tells the dog to eat properly, and the animal finally obeys. Patting the animal's head, he promises to train it magnificently. Suddenly, the dog bites down hard on the food and lunges at him. Lying on the floor, he's shocked by the paw prints on his face. Then, the animal simply turns and runs off with all the food. Furious, he starts screaming at the dog for its betrayal. Watching the fight, the mother comments that they've become great friends and partners. Going to the kitchen, she realizes they're completely out of flour. Meanwhile, the dog keeps provoking the baby, who looks very annoyed. Needing flour, she ends up being captured by the returned slime creature. Searching the cabinet, she doesn't notice the slimy creature approaching from behind. Barking loudly, the dog runs towards the monster to try and protect everyone. He then leaps over the couch, charging without hesitation against the great threat. Getting closer, the dog prepares to pounce on the slimy monster. Tugging at her clothes, he He desperately tries to warn her of the imminent danger. Just then, the dog attacks the monster with all its might, making the woman scream in fear. Fallen on the floor, she asks what's wrong, completely clueless about the situation. Analyzing the creature, he knows its liquid body is immune to common attacks. Accidentally, she bumps into the monster while the dog keeps fighting. Despite attacking, its paw just passes through the slimy body with no effect. Noticing its change in form, he remembers that this type's weakness is dehydration. Looking for something to use, he finds a jar with a white powder. Grabbing the jar, he gets ready to throw its contents at the creature. He then hurls all the powder from the container in a wide arc through the air. As it falls on the creature, the powder begins to dissolve the monster's body. Reacting to the powder, the slime monster creates several spikes on its body. Next, the creature transforms into a large water bubble in the air. Suddenly exploding, the bubble shoots jets of water all over the kitchen. He explains that, as expected, the monster panicked when it lost moisture. Grabbing a trash can, he prepares to trap what's left of the monster. He then traps the monster with the trash can, saying that should do it. With a victorious air, he says that was to be expected from him. Suddenly, his mother screams as she slips on the powdery mess on the floor. Seeing the scene, he comments that now there's another clumsy person in the house. All dirty, she complains about her bad luck and says she needs to wash up right away. He says he was lucky to catch the monster, which serves as a repellent. Sitting in the basket, he explains he can use the slime to protect the windows. As the trash can tips over, he laments that the creature managed to escape. Barking loudly, the dog jumps in front and blocks the monster's escape. Now face to face, the dog and the monster stare each other down, ready to fight. Hitting it with the trash can, he stops the monster from advancing onto the floor. Escaping through the window, the monster even gives a thumbs up before fleeing. With the window now empty, he complains that the creature left on its own. He then says the monster is too cocky for someone so small. Suddenly, the doorknob is turned by a mysterious force. Climbing onto the dog, he orders the animal to chase the creature without delay. Once outside, he yells that he won't let the monster get away. During the chase, he wonders why that insect repellent can fly. Racing down the street, the dog continues at high speed to reach the target. Spotting the target, he says he needs to throw sand or mud at the monster. Just then, a bit of the slime lands on a girl's head. When she looks up, the girl is startled to see the slimy creature. Then the monster prepares to attack the girl, who screams in terror. Analyzing the situation, he knows his body won't be able to handle the power. Finally, he concludes that the place will turn into a bloodbath if he fails. With that, they charge forward as fast as they can to prevent the impending disaster. Screaming that once was enough, he won't let history repeat itself. To protect the girl, he leaps over her and blocks the attack. While blocking the attack, he braces himself, as his power only lasts a short time. With the attack deflected, the creature is thrown back by its own force. Then, he yells that he'll end it all in an instant, unleashing his power. With the monster defeated, he wonders if he made it in time to save her. The girl stares at him, terrified, and he wonders if she saw him in action. He then looks away, trying to act like nothing out of the ordinary happened. Stepping away, he says, cleaning up this mess is going to be a real pain. Suddenly, he realizes his tail has absorbed the slime monster's core. He wonders if the tail can absorb two abilities at the same time. Pushing his hand out, he tests the new ability and finds they can coexist. He remembers that in his past life, he avoided switching powers to avoid being detected. Then, he understands the reason for his tail's evolution is his age. Recalling, he says that adapters get stronger the younger they awaken. Most candidates died because children couldn't overcome the monster toxins. He realizes that now, as an even younger adapter, he has more power. With a smile, he concludes that his growth potential is simply immeasurable. Back at the house, he realizes they've already reached the front door. Getting off the dog, he prepares for the next step of his new plan. Touching the remaining slime, he gets ready to use the power he acquired. Using the slime, he creates a protective barrier around the entire house. Sitting on the floor, he says he's completely exhausted and has no strength left. He then realizes his biggest problem now is his lack of physical strength. Unable to handle the strain, he passes out from exhaustion right there on the floor. Lying down, he says this should keep the monsters away, but he still looks worried. Suddenly, the dog approaches and stares at him with strange red eyes. Grabbing him by his clothes, the dog starts dragging him inside. Changing scenes, his mother comments that she feels much more refreshed now. With a smile, she looks at herself and fixes her hair, appearing much more energetic. As he's being licked on the couch, he complains that the dog is too heavy for him. As time passes, the dog ends up falling fast asleep in its own bed. Later, he takes the opportunity to use the slime to protect the windows and drains. He then says the house should be safe for a good while now. Analyzing his tail, he discovers he can now store up to 4 different abilities. He concludes he can only use 2 abilities, and they only last for 30 seconds. Sitting on the floor, He wonders what else he should prepare for the catastrophe. Suddenly, he gets an idea and realizes he needs a lot of supplies. During the catastrophe, the main cause of death wasn't monsters, but starvation. Imagining the situation, he thinks that with supplies, he might even be able to get new followers. He'd like to prepare now, but he knows there's a big problem. Supermarkets and crowded places will soon be overrun by monsters. With his current body, he knows he couldn't face large hordes alone. He then wonders if there's another good way to get supplies. Looking at the table, he spots his mother's smartphone and gets an idea. Stretching out his hand, he manages to reach the phone and grabs it. Seeing it's not locked, he accesses the building's group chat. Reading the conversations, he decides he needs to warn all those people. With great difficulty, he starts typing on the keyboard to create an account. He warns that the catastrophe is imminent, and they should secure supplies soon. Annoyed by the conversation, he complains about everyone's stubbornness in the group. He laments their fate until he sees a new friend request. Curious about who it could be, he accepts the mysterious contact request. Reading the message, he finds the name Hot somewhat familiar. Surprised, he wonders if this could be the famous Hot from the old organization. Cutting to a control room, multiple monitors are seen everywhere. Relaxing in her chair, the girl laughs while casually scrolling on her phone. With a smile on her face, she says things are about to get very interesting. Complaining that he's a handful, she asks him to just tell her the plan already. Then, he hits the send button, initiating his new strategy. He reveals a warehouse full of supplies, with everything they could possibly need. With a smile, she warns him that information has a price and demands 100 million. He proposes a new deal, offering her 20% of all the supplies. Analyzing the proposal, he starts to be sure of who this person is. From their conversation, he confirms there's no doubt she is Hot. After negotiating, he finally asks her where the warehouse is. She then reveals she put the information in the apartment's mailbox. He knows the organization hasn't been formed yet, so Hot isn't an executive. With a smile, he realizes she just wants to use the information as bait, but he knows her, and he knows she's a dangerous and manipulative woman. Looking at the clock, he realizes he ended up sleeping for about 2 hours. Awake now, he says his energy is restored, and he's going to get the information. Determined, he takes the stairs to avoid the elevator's security cameras. Complaining about his weakness, he says he can't make it up with this body. In that case, he gets an idea as he looks at the peacefully sleeping dog. Trying to wake the dog, he pokes the animal, which just stares back at him. Annoyed at being ignored, he complains that he's barely managed to tame the animal. Seeing the can of treats, he wonders if he can lure the dog, but the animal keeps sleeping soundly, unfazed by the situation. Grabbing the treats, he then mashes the food in his small hand. Then, he offers the mashed up food to the dog, which finally takes an interest. With the deal sealed, he concludes that a dog is just a dog. Riding the dog, he tells it to hurry before the woman wakes up. They then advance down the hallway, getting closer and closer to the mailbox. Pointing ahead, he finally says, "That's the mailbox right there." Suddenly, he's startled when he notices a security camera. Realizing the trap, he wonders if Hot wants to confirm his identity. Knowing his information will be sold, he remembers that Hot doesn't attack strangers. With a smile, he says he'll trick the cameras to get what he wants. Closing his eyes, he concentrates to first check the entire surrounding area. He then finds 3 hidden cameras besides the ones that already belong to the apartment. Scoffing, he wonders if she really thinks she can expose him with that. In her room, Hot wonders what kind of prey she'll find this time. Suddenly, she receives a notification from someone named Kay on her phone. Shocked by the message, she's left completely confused about what's happening. Looking at the cameras, she sees only a dog is in the hallway now. On the other side, he explains that this is the blind spot for all the cameras. He then places the smartphone with a flyer over it on the mailbox. From the hallway, the dog receives a new sound signal for the next step. Holding the flyer, he asks who's there, pretending to be an ordinary person. Hot receives the voice message, and Kay asks for 100 million to reveal who he is. With a wicked smile, she says this guy is really interesting. Annoyed, she shouts that she'll show him her power and tells Spider to search. Sending out her drone, she warns she'll show off the power that cost her 30 million. But in the hallway, his mother ends up stepping on the small device. Startled by the noise, she looks down, not understanding what happened. Seeing him on the floor, she approaches and asks what he's doing. Caught by surprise, he's completely speechless at being discovered by her. Remembering the plan, he decides he'll use a trick to deceive everyone. Crying, Hot mourns the loss of her precious and expensive spy drone. Just then, she hears a voice from the other end and asks what he's doing. Surprised, she realizes the drone also had a direct communication feature. She then activates an audio device to communicate with him. Angry, she warns him that she can hear his voice and that he hasn't won. Threateningly, she says she'll get her revenge and can expose everything about him online. With no response, she starts screaming, demanding he say something, but he just asks if she won't catch a cold with so few clothes on. Frustrated, she shuts off the circuit breaker to try and figure out who he is. Shaking with rage, she wonders who the hell those mysterious people are. His mother appears and warns him that it's dangerous to stay in that strange place. Looking at the broken drone, an analysis shows that 40% of the data has been recovered. Seeing the message, he realizes she's already given up and provided the information. Outside, his mother waves from the balcony, watching the street. He understands that his mother thinks the dog opened the door by itself. He also thinks she believed he was sleepwalking around the house. Annoyed, he says he can't use the dog for a while now. With the dog tied up, he says he'll rescue it later and moves on. According to Hot, a supermarket is opening soon with plenty of supplies. He thinks Hot is being very generous by giving this information away for free. Seeing that the woman hasn't noticed the flyer, he needs to do something. He knows he can't tell her directly about the end of the world. His mother comments that there are only 5 days of milk left for him. Seeing his opportunity, he smiles and prepares to put his plan into action. Using his power, he knocks the can of powdered milk to the floor. Seeing the fallen can, the woman says it's a good thing he didn't wake up. Suddenly, she notices a flyer on the small table. Looking closely, she wonders if that's a supermarket flyer. Reading the flyer, she says they need to go and check it out. With the weather nice, she goes out for a walk and takes the baby with her. Complaining about his clothes, he says this isn't an outfit for a real man. Meanwhile, the dog stays home, watching over everything by itself. Walking down the street, the mother peacefully pushes the stroller with him inside. Suddenly, a security guard appears and asks them to stop. Warning them about a disease, he tells them not to leave their homes for now. He then asks them not to bother the government with small problems. Saying he's just following orders, he insists they go back home. But as he speaks, something strange starts happening to the guard's body. Just then, he transforms into a giant creature, roaring terrifyingly at the sky. With a violent blow, the monster attacks and destroys the remaining body. Then, the creature turns and faces the mother and baby with fury. Looking at them, the monster says it needs a lot of protein to feed. He realizes the monster is a proliferation type with no apparent weaknesses. Knowing the danger, he understands they will both die if he doesn't use his power. With no time to hesitate, someone suddenly grabs him from behind in the stroller. Grabbing her son, the mother tells him to hold on tight as they run. In her arms, he wonders if the woman is planning to run from the monster, but he knows that running is useless, as the monster is too fast. Being much faster, the monster catches up to them in just a few seconds. Looking around, he spots a fire extinguisher on a nearby wall. Concentrating his power, he prepares to use his abilities once more. Determined, he says that if he breaks that, he might have a good chance. The fire extinguisher's explosion creates a cloud of smoke, covering the entire area. Confused by the smoke, the monster shields itself, not understanding what happened. Taking advantage of the distraction, he lunges forward and lands a powerful punch on the monster. The impact of the blow throws the creature forcefully against the glass wall. Standing, he observes the result of his attack amidst the swirling dust. Analyzing the time, he says the dust should settle in 30 seconds. With a determined look, he declares he'll finish everything in that short time. Looking at his unconscious mother, he says the problem is cleaning everything up first. He realizes she's lost consciousness, but there's no time to waste. Knowing the core is in its head, a single blow should be enough. But when the dust settles, he sees a huge problem in front of him. The creature rises from the rubble, seemingly unharmed. Annoyed by its resilience, he warns that he'll end it all with the next blow. No more shortcuts. The monster prepares to attack with its full strength now. Seeing the attack approach, he braces for the coming impact. The monster then slams the ground, creating a massive shockwave. Shouting a battle cry, he launches a powerful wire attack at the monster. The wires pierce the creature's body, hitting multiple points at once. Pushed back, he continues to press forward with his wire attack. With his eyes focused, he concentrates on delivering the final blow. Muttering, he says he barely missed the mark, but he knows who's going to win. With a confident smirk, he declares himself the victor of this battle. Charging forward at high speed, he flies straight toward the massive monster. Getting up close, he prepares to strike the creature with all his might. Dodging an attack, he runs up the enemy's arm to get into position. With a powerful punch, he strikes the monster's back with full force. He then remarks that with a body that big, it must be hard to aim at a baby. At that, the monster tries to hit him with a sweeping blow. Noticing an opening, he says the monster can't use its full strength. As the monster smashes the ground, he says it's like hunting a rat. Facing the wounded creature, he prepares his next attack. He then concludes that his battle experience is useful even in this form. Seeing the monster's power has weakened, he readies one last blow to finish it, but the monster manages to catch the attack with its hand, surprising the boy. Thrown far away, he is slammed violently against the ground, Stunned by the blow, he's shocked by the sudden turn of events in the fight. Amid the destruction, the monster rises, though it looks heavily weakened. Lying on the ground, he knows he has no way to distract the monster for an attack. Realizing time is running out, he knows he has to escape as fast as possible. Suddenly, his mother wakes up and calls his name, leaving him completely surprised. Confused and frightened, she looks around and asks where he is. Her eyes widen in fear as she faces the enormous creature right in front of her. Facing the monster, she stands up, ready to protect her son. She then refuses to believe what's happening right before her eyes. Seeing his mother move forward, he asks what she's planning to do. Desperate, he yells that there's no way she can fight that thing. Screaming, she demands the creature give her son back and attacks with a weapon. Suddenly, the weapon in her hand fires a powerful energy blast. Shocked by the weapon, he wonders if it's a stun gun. Deciding to accept her help, he gets into position to attack alongside his mother. The attack creates a distraction, and he knows this is his big chance. She then strikes the monster with the weapon, and it screams in pain from the blow. Falling to the ground, his mother faints from the impact of the great battle. He then presses forward with his wire attack, surrounding the monster's entire body. With a serious look, he says that the garbage disposal is starting now. Surprised, the monster prepares to retaliate, but it's too late. With a precise strike, he hits the core and completely defeats the creature. The monster then explodes, and his mother is thrown to the side. Tired and wounded, he approaches his mother, who is still unconscious. He says it would have been dangerous without her, that she risked her life to save him. Holding her hand, he notes that there's still a lot of room for improvement. Opening his eyes, he wakes up in a different place with a bandage on him. A strange man asks if he's awake while changing his diaper. Startled, he wonders who this guy is and what he's doing. Furious, he then screams for the strange man to get away from him. Apologizing, his mother appears, looking quite frightened by the whole situation. Just then, the man says he was the one who accidentally scared her. He then asks if she and the dog have been getting along lately. Thanking her for taking care of the animal, he helps put the baby in the stroller. He finds the man's calmness strange, since he must have seen the monster from before. Not understanding the situation, he tries to process what's happening. Running a hand through his hair, he realizes it's still wet. Remembering his mother crying, he understands she was hiding in fear. The man then announces they're all going to buy supplies and tells her to get ready. Considering the idea, he thinks cooperating to stock up on things isn't bad. Suddenly, he remembers a very important detail he almost forgot. He realizes he hasn't collected the core from the defeated monster yet. Looking outside, he finally spots the core amidst the destruction. Amidst the rubble, the destroyed car is still emitting a lot of smoke. Using his tail, he grabs the core and says that should do the trick. Absorbing the core, he wonders if the ability went into his veins. He then says it's not bad, since he can use the new ability as a shield. Suddenly, he looks to the side, seeming surprised by something. From a distance, he hears the man ask if the mother and son are dead weight. On the phone, the man says they're useful precisely because they're dead weight. He reveals he can use them as bait, and that the man is dangerous. With a smile, he tells someone to get another car and buy more supplies. Just then, he hears a noise and angrily asks who's nearby. Accidentally, the boy makes a noise while crawling over shards of glass. Terrified, he sees the man turn around and prepare to attack him with everything he's got. Seeing the baby, the man says, so it was him making the noise. He approaches and asks the baby how he managed to get there. On the phone, he says, no problem. He'll kill the baby with his bare hands. Hearing the threat, the boy is shocked and realizes the man is insane. Back in the car, he sits on his mother's lap, thinking about the danger. Inside the car, he wonders if that guy will really be the driver. Another young man asks why they're leaving since they've already seen the monsters. With a smile and an okay sign, he doesn't seem to care. From a distance, their red car approaches the supermarket warehouse. Analyzing the situation, he says he understands the attitude of the people around. He knows it's like self-defense, as it's not easy to accept the catastrophe. People try to act normally to hide the anxiety they're feeling. As the car passes by, a little girl asks her mother for a sandwich. Her mother, Rin Uro, says she'll get one for her right then. Beside them, the young man Taku Tasora also asks if he can have a hot dog. Offering the box, the mother tells him to take a sandwich to eat. With a malicious smile, he prepares to put his plan into action. Thanking her for the snack, the young man says it must be tough for her on her own. Another young woman, Ryu Kasen, says it's dangerous to go out in the current situation. She then says she was also hesitant, but ended up changing her mind. The mother says her son only does selfish things when he's alone. Beside them, Chenshir says that Rin will be very useful to them in combat. He remembers the monster was defeated because of her taser. Besides, he points out that they also have the dog to help in the fight. She says she doesn't remember very well, and he doubts her usefulness. The man says everything should be fine, as there probably won't be any more monsters. But suddenly, he stops talking and stares at the street with wide eyes. Looking through the window, a girl runs desperately down the completely empty street. Suddenly, an explosion occurs, and she is attacked by a creature. Terrified, she finds herself surrounded by a group of insectoid monsters. Trying to advance, the monsters corner her and prepare to pounce. In a panic, the girl closes her eyes and starts screaming desperately. Inside the car, everyone is in shock at the terrible scene outside. Screaming for everyone to hold on, the driver floors the accelerator. The car then speeds off, fleeing the scene of the attack. Making a turn, the driver goes around the truck and heads down the empty street. From a distance, the dog barks non-stop, as if trying to warn them of something. Fallen on the ground, the girl screams for help, but the monsters ignore her. In the car, the mother complains that today has been too hectic. Looking outside, he realizes their car is completely surrounded. Several insectoid monsters appear and block the vehicle's path on the street. Analyzing the creatures, he says they're artificial humans created by a guardian. He explains that these guardians are parasitic monsters that turn humans into servants. The situation makes him very worried about the number of enemies that have appeared. Seeing the number of monsters increase, he warns that they need to escape now. Annoyed, the driver complains that they're surrounded and there's nowhere to go. Suddenly, one of the monsters attacks and tries to shatter the car's windshield. Looking through the window, he knows he needs to push them back before he can do anything. He thinks that if he uses all his power now, it's over for him. Looking around, he wonders if there's anyone else who can fight. One of the girls gets scared seeing the terrible scene outside. Fallen on the ground, the other girl screams for help, but no one comes to her aid. Annoyed, the young woman yells that everyone needs to help that girl as quickly as possible. Analyzing the woman, he questions if she really wants everyone to help. One of the guys asks if she wants everyone, except him, to help outside. He then realizes that indecisive people are a problem. She then yells that they won't be useful in combat and should get lost. But the older man says no, because it's already too late for that. Pointing at the girl, he says her neck is now injured. He reveals that she already has the same wound as the other monsters. Analyzing the man, he realizes he has great observation skills. The driver then asks if they should just drive forward anyway. He replies that it's better to defeat the monsters before they all get killed. Angry, he wonders if the driver is planning to get them all killed. The driver says the trucker behind them is the same type as him. One of the guys then offers to go, fearfully clutching a pillow. In a panic, the guy says they just have to defeat them and there's nothing to fear. Desperate, he tries to calm himself down and think of a way to survive. His mother then offers to go and says she'll get her weapon. The guy celebrates that he doesn't have to go since she's going in his place, but suddenly, the guy is attacked by a tentacle which pierces through his chest. Surprised, he looks down at the wound, not understanding what just happened. The girl next to him is also shocked by the sudden and unexpected attack. Being pulled out, the guy is thrown forcefully into the air. On the car's roof, the claws of a new creature dig into the metal. Inside the car, the girl screams in terror upon seeing the creature at the window. A spider-like monster appears and prepares to attack the group. Attacking with its tentacle, it pierces the girl's chest without any mercy. Looking at the creature, it lets out a strange sound, preparing to attack. His mother is shocked to realize that's the monster's main body. He then realizes the creature was hiding the whole time, waiting to attack. With no way out, he wonders if he'll have to fight right there inside the car. Suddenly, the monster's tentacle gets closer and closer to his mother. Gripping the seat, he realizes the situation is bad and he needs to act, but the creature pulls its tentacle back, diverting the attack to the other side. The monster then attacks the passenger seat next to the driver. Suddenly, the older man grabs the tentacle and attacks the creature. Shocked, he asks if that man is the boss behind everything. The man then breaks the tentacle with his bare hands, showing no difficulty at all. Holding the tip of the weapon, he prepares for a direct counterattack. With a precise strike, he attacks the monster's head with all his might. Startled, he wonders what that old man is doing in this situation. Shocked, he questions if the man did all that with his own hands. With a war cry, the man attacks the monster with fury and without hesitation. After the strike, he stares at the creature's body with a serious, cold look. With a dirty hand, he prepares for his next move. Swinging the creature's body, he gets ready to throw it far away from the car. Throwing the monster to the ground, he ends the fight with a final, decisive blow. With a dirty face, he laments that he's gotten too old for this stuff. In the car, everyone is shocked by the old man's incredible combat ability. But he realizes the fight isn't over yet and the danger has not passed. He knows that even without knowing the old man, he is a great help. Just aiming for the heart won't kill that type of guardian monster. Even wounded, the creature gets up and prepares to attack once more. Angry for not being able to speak, he decides to communicate in another way. He then starts to cry loudly to alert the man of the danger. Suddenly, the man is surprise attacked by the creature he thought he had defeated. With its tentacle, the creature pierces the man's chest without any mercy, but the man manages to rip out the tentacle and prepares to fight back. Remembering his time in the special forces, He says he's seen this before. Scared, he realizes that the old man was from the special forces. Analyzing the situation, the man prepares for his next attack move. He then attacks the creature's body with a devastating and powerful punch. Seeing that the creature doesn't die, he says that as expected, it was no use. With a determined look, he prepares for the final blow of the battle. Shouting that he will crush it, he charges forward to destroy the creature once and for all. With a final blow, the man finally smashes the head of the defeated creature. Moved, he praises the old man's quick judgment and combat knowledge. He then regrets not realizing sooner that the old man was from the army. In his past life, he heard rumors that the military had already disappeared. The army became the greatest force against the monsters and enemies of the organization. The special forces were the core of the army and had unique combat methods. Excited about the situation, he says that now they can finally go to the supermarket. He wonders how he can get that person on his side in battle. With an evil smile, he thinks of several ways to manipulate the old man. Suddenly, the man pats him on the head, surprising the boy. With a smile, he asks Rin to stay behind him with the child. Scared, she agrees, and says she won't be a burden to the group. She thanks him for saving them, but he says the crying saved him. Analyzing the old man, he thinks that personality will still get him killed one day, but for now, he decides he will gladly accept the help. Arriving at the location, they see the supermarket from a distance, looking very calm. The man wonders if the market is closed, as the gate is locked. Confused, the mother says the ad she saw said it would be open. He then realizes that Hot must have made the gate not open automatically. Suddenly, the supermarket's parking lot gate begins to open on its own. The driver then receives a message on his cell phone with new information. With a smile, he says he asked a friend to open the gate. Suspicious, he looks at the man's cell phone and notices something strange. Seeing the message, he wonders if the driver is connected with Hot. He then can't believe the coincidence of finding a Hot ally there. Tired, he sits in the shopping cart, waiting for the next step. Walking through the market, the mother says this is the destination for all of them. Looking around, he notices there are no security cameras. Suddenly, he sees the old man grabbing a suitcase and bringing out his weapons. Shocked, he says that as expected, the old man is much more prepared. In the shopping cart, he looks around and wonders where the man is. Seeing no employees, the mother wonders how they will be able to pay. At that, the driver claps his hands and tells them not to worry about it. Then, he reveals that everything in the store was bought by his organization. Barking non-stop, the dog is told to shut up by the driver. He then reveals that he used all of them, as infiltrating alone would be difficult. Looking at the man's arm, he notices a familiar mark and becomes suspicious. Seeing the tattoo, he wonders if the driver is a member of the organization. Angered by the revelation, he glares at the man with a look of pure rage. The man declares that the supplies are now the property of the Oriental Lotus Society. With his back turned, he warns the old man not to try anything funny. Surprised, he understands that the Oriental Lotus Society is the predecessor of the organization. Before the catastrophe, they had already committed various crimes and sensed the anomaly early. He then understands why he had a bad feeling from the start of the trip. With hatred, he promises he will kill that man, whether he's the bastard or not. Realizing the danger, the old man prepares for the coming combat. Seeing they are surrounded, he realizes they have been deceived the whole time. The old man then says that in this situation, he needs to do something. Raising his weapon, he warns that he has no choice but to defeat the boss. One of the henchmen attacks the old man with a bat, but misses the swing. Angry, the henchman yells that the old man wants to die for getting in the way. The old man then shouts for everyone to run and escape from that dangerous place. Suddenly, an explosion happens on the upper floor, drawing everyone's attention. Surprised, the group's leader wonders why the old man remains so calm. With a smile, the old man seems to have a plan in mind for this situation. Realizing the trap, the leader understands that the situation is bad for him. The supply boxes explode, and the old man charges forward through the smoke. Shocked by the explosion, the leader can't react in time to the attack. Suddenly, a truck tire is thrown and hits one of the henchmen. Fallen on the ground, the old man gets up, looking very tired from the battle. At that moment, the leader points a gun at the old man's head, cornering him. With a smile, he says he can't let a former military man like him escape. He then prepares to shoot, but hears a noise and stops. The dog barks, and the old man tells the leader not to move an inch. Pointing her gun, the mother warns that she will shoot if he moves. Facing her, the man turns and prepares for his next action. With a smile, he asks if she's serious with that threat. She then replies that she is serious and won't hesitate to shoot. The man says they should be able to divide the supplies among everyone. With a smirk, he says she is a very interesting woman. She calls him too stupid to talk to and tells him not to be so arrogant. He then reveals that the dog's former owner ended up dying at home. Lamenting the loss, he says that now he has no one left to play with. He then reveals that when he was about to get rid of the dog, he found her. Taking the dog, He says the animal will be his new companion today. Scared, she is surprised to see the man approaching with the dog. Seeing the baby and the dog, he seems to have a new idea in mind. With an evil smile, he says he will leave the animal with her. He then wonders why she would take the dog, even with a baby. He is surprised that she remained safe, even after taking in a full-grown dog. But the boy remains focused on the supplies, ignoring the adult's conversation. Lighting a flare, he yells that there aren't enough supplies for everyone to share. He then presses a button on the wall, triggering a new plan. Just then, a large group of people appears on the supermarket's lower floor. Pointing their weapons, the leader says that weaklings like them don't understand anything. With a smile, he says the weak deserve to die in the new era. In a flashback, a girl complains that it's disgusting to eat rats to survive. Suddenly, the dog starts barking and charges at the armed goons. The men aim their guns at the dog, but it's just a distraction. In the cart, he yells that now is the time and launches his attack. Using the goo, he creates a large barrier that covers the entire room. Trapped in the darkness, the henchmen yell not to shoot and to turn on the lights. Unleashing his power, he rushes at high speed toward one of the enemies. With a powerful punch, he strikes one of the goons with all his might. Thrown back, the man stands no chance against the surprise attack. Another henchman tries to shoot, but the gun misfires. Seizing the opening, he lunges forward and lands a punch right in the man's face. In the middle of the fight, the old man and the boy lock eyes for a moment. Just then, the old man realizes the boy in the cart saw him in action. Having been discovered, he panics and doesn't know how to react. Panicking, he realizes the situation is very bad for him now. He knows that if he's found out, he'll be captured and used for research. Suddenly, a shot is fired and someone runs through the darkness. Analyzing the scene, the old man wonders if that child is a monster. The boy then moves forward, preparing to attack the old man with everything he's got. He remembers being attacked by the old man when he was discovered. Seeing the old man's suitcase, he concludes that, as expected, he is suspicious. The image of the gun that misfired earlier suddenly flashes in his mind. In hiding, he wants to turn off the light, but the old man is in the way. Annoyed, he decides he'll take down the old man first. Getting closer, he hides in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. Suddenly, the lights go out, plunging everyone into complete, frightening darkness. In the dark, a small goo creature appears, catching everyone's attention. Using a flashlight, the men wonder what that strange thing is. Shining the light on the creature, they wonder if it's some kind of slime. Hiding, he notices that everyone's attention is on the monster. With an evil smile, he celebrates that this is his big chance. In the cart, he gets ready to use his threads to grab the supplies. The goo creature then approaches one of the men by the shelves. Watching the scene, the old man realizes something strange is about to happen. Suddenly, the goo transforms into an exact copy of the man it touched. Touching his own clone, the man braces for an unexpected fight. The clone then lunges forward and punches the man right in the face. In the midst of the chaos, the clones start attacking all the henchmen in the group. Watching the fight, the old man seems to understand what's happening there in the dark. He concludes that the monster was creating clones of itself to attack. Suddenly, the old man hears a scream and turns to see what happened. Just then, a clone of his mother appears, and she tells the creature to stay away. Hearing a cry from the cart, the old man realizes it wasn't the baby. With tears in his eyes, he's glad he can hide his powers well. A clone of him then appears, asking the old man for help. The old man's clone then charges forward, attacking a man with all its strength. Readying his weapon, he defends himself from the clone's attack with a precise strike. Attacking the clone, he manages to hit the creature's head with his shovel, but he notices the texture is soft and the head regenerates. He then remembers that slime-type monsters don't have a real head. Tossing the shovel aside, he opens his weapon case on the floor. Tired of the fight, he gets ready to use his weapons. He explains that the monster's weakness is a very specific detail. Meanwhile, his mother fights her own clone, trying to defend herself. Screaming for it to stay away, she attacks the clone with her taser. Throwing the powder, he makes the clone explode, revealing its weakness to dehydration. The old man's clone is hit by a direct blow to the face, stunning it. Aiming his weapon, the old man shoots at the clones in the hallway. As they are hit, the clones dissolve, showing a weakness to excessive attacks. Suddenly, the leader's clone appears and prepares to attack the mother. Annoyed, he wonders why the leader is still hanging around. Attacking the clone, the mother fires her weapon, but the shot is blocked. The old man and the boy look at each other, sharing a knowing glance. Together, they clear out the remaining clones, and he says he managed to cover his tracks. Suddenly, he wonders if the group's leader is still alive. Fallen behind the boxes, the leader gets up, looking much weaker. With a bruised face, he realizes the old man's attack is working. Furious, he vows not to let that bastard get away alive, but he knows if he uses his power, his identity will be exposed to everyone. Just then, he is caught off guard as someone yanks the cart from behind. The mother screams as she sees the cart being violently pulled away. With that, The group's leader grabs the boy and takes everyone hostage. He then yells that he's got the brat and is now in control. Pointing his gun, he orders everyone to drop their weapons on the floor immediately. Held by the man, the boy is motionless, just watching everything. With a mischievous smile, he thinks the situation is quite convenient for him. Threateningly, the leader says if they don't obey, he'll kill the brat without hesitation. The mother and the old man stare at the leader, unsure of what to do. Suddenly, one of the clones gets up and prepares to attack the group. The goo then covers the body of one of the henchmen, completely transforming him. The henchman pulls the pin on a grenade, preparing for an explosion. With a flash of light, the grenade explodes, destroying everything in the area. In the midst of the explosion, a second-class core appears, drawing attention. The boy then reaches out his hand and snatches the core with speed and agility. The leader uses the smoke to escape, taking the boy with him. Tired, the leader runs through the hallways, still holding the boy hostage. Annoyed, he complains that the persistent bastard should just die already. Suddenly, he hears someone call him boss and turns around. On the street, a group of henchmen is waiting for him, commenting on his speed. In his arms, the boy is surprised to see he has more allies. Seeing the situation, the leader says something unexpected happened, changing his plans. Desperate, he orders his men to get the car ready for their escape. But suddenly he notices something strange and stops talking instantly. Seeing the tattoo on his neck, he finally confirms it's that bastard, Lai. Remembering the past, he recalls that Lai always wore a mask, but the tattoo was visible. Lai then holds the baby and asks why he's staring at him like that. Suddenly, Lai hears a noise and turns around, confused about what's happening. He then sees all his henchmen defeated on the street. Looking at the dust, the boy realizes it's the dreaded red dust. He explains that this phenomenon is extremely dangerous for ordinary humans. Anyone who touches the dust either dies instantly or transforms into a monster. After transforming, they lose their minds and attack anyone nearby. Suddenly, one of the transformed men flies towards Lai. Annoyed, Lai prepares to dodge the attack while still holding the baby. Shouting for the baby to be his shield, he holds it up for defense. He then throws the boy at the monster as he leaps away. Falling through the air, he realizes he's been used as bait and becomes furious. In that case, he decides to show everyone his true power. Using the core, he unleashes a massive amount of energy, transforming. Spinning at high speed, he completes his transformation in the midst of battle. With his new form, he gets ready to display all his power. He then declares that this is his true and absolute power now. With a determined look, he warns that he's about to let loose and fight. The monster charges, but he prepares to fight back with his new powers. Summoning shadow tentacles, he strikes the monster with a direct hit. He realizes the cores have combined, creating new fighting techniques. Facing an even larger monster, he prepares for the next battle. Defending against a punch, he blocks the attack with his new dark power. The monster then fires an energy beam, but he dodges it with agility. He then creates a shadow spear and attacks the creature's eye. Hit, the monster recoils and screams in pain from the precise strike. With several tentacles, he notes that his body is now easier to control. Finally, he focuses his power to deliver the final blow to the creature. With the final blow, the monster violently explodes into 1,000 pieces on the ground. Landing on the ground, Lai stares at him and asks who he really is. Now in his new form, he just flashes a confident smile. Coming face to face with Lai, he prepares for the next phase of the confrontation. With his eyes glowing, he warns that now it's his enemy's turn. At this, Lee's eyes widen in response to the smile he reveals. Suddenly, a giant, toothy grin fills the entire darkness. Charging at his enemy, he swears he'll make him pay for his past life. Falling from above, he prepares to attack Lai with all his strength. Surprised, Lai turns and prepares to counter the enemy's attack. Aiming his gun, he fires, but the shot is blocked in midair. A large explosion occurs, but it doesn't hit the target as he expected. The bullet stops in the air, and he realizes his plan has failed. Floating, he says this false body is on a whole other level. He then states that he needs to explore the limits of his new dark power. Staring at his foe, Lai wonders if he's some kind of monster. With a swift move, he lunges forward and grabs Lee's face forcefully. Screaming in pain, Lai is thrown violently against the nearby wall. Lying on the ground, he's stunned by the impact of the powerful attack. Approaching, he prepares to end the fight once and for all. With a determined look, he warns that this is the end for Lai. Laughing desperately, Lai faces his enemy, looking completely defeated. Suddenly, a man stands up, realizing the story was true. Watching the man, he wonders who that person really is. Then Lai warns him not to think he's won the fight just yet. With a syringe in hand, he prepares to inject the substance. Suddenly, his body begins to transform into a shapeless mass of flesh. He then remembers that the organization researched drugs before the catastrophe. They were drugs that created self-aware monsters, and he recognizes the effect. Terrified, he stares at the new creature that has formed before him. With multiple eyes, the creature reveals itself, showing its complete monstrous form. Up close, the creature's eyes open, staring at its enemy with fury. Surprised, he wonders why that guy turned himself into a monster. The creature then roars, preparing to attack with all its power. With a tentacle, the creature strikes, but the blow is easily blocked. Caught in the attack, he is crushed between the monster's two tentacles. Annoyed, he tries to break free, but the enemy's strength is immense. With multiple tentacles, the creature attacks him from all sides at once. Complaining about its toughness, he can't break through the giant monster's defense. The creature then strikes him with its many tentacles all at once. Thrown far away, he and his clones are hurled violently. At high speed, he is launched into the air by the powerful monster's blow. Furious at its strength, he calls the enemy a bastard and prepares himself. Suddenly, he's caught in a trap and pierced by several spikes. Breaking free, he asks if the monster hasn't killed him enough already. Facing the creature, he gets ready for the next round of the battle. On the other side, the monster stares back, ready to continue the fight. Leaping backward, he dodges another attack from the giant monster. Landing on the rubble, he prepares to use all his power in the fight. He then says that this time is different from his past life, and he won't lose. With a determined look, he declares he won't be killed a second time. Suddenly, an explosion erupts, hitting the monster by surprise with great force. Surprised by the attack, he wonders who helped him in the battle. Amidst the smoke, the old man aims his weapon, ready to fire. Staring at the creature, he wonders if it's a Big Eye type monster. Decided, he says he'll use what he stole from the Eastern Lotus Society. Loading the ammunition into the gun, he gets ready to put it to good use. He then fires the weapon, unleashing a powerful energy blast. The shot hits the monster dead on, causing a massive impact explosion. Surprised, the boy wonders if that creature is a Big Eye monster. With a smile, he understands the situation and realizes the truth about Lai. Claiming the world will face a calamity, she makes a grim prediction. Then she offers a chance at salvation by joining the organization. Placing a box before him, she says it's a gift from the organization. With a smile, she tells him to think of it as a lucky charm. In a flashback, the man recalls not wanting to hear that conversation. He questioned his own nature, as he couldn't even understand himself. After taking the injection, he says he finally understood its meaning. That's when he discovers he was born with the ability to see the weaknesses in others. Changing scenes, the boy asks a woman if her husband is cheating on her. Furious, she yells, asking what he's talking about and telling him to stop his nonsense. He points to a man and confirms that's her husband. Making a funny face, he reveals what her husband said about her while she sleeps. After hearing this, the woman's expression changes and she clenches her fists. She then runs up and punches him, screaming that he betrayed her. As he's thrown backward, he yells that he's going to divorce her. Fallen on the ground, the woman starts to cry, saying she knows she's ugly. Just then, the boy approaches and says he'll tell her about a good place. He promises a place with kind people, where no one will ever mistreat her again. Using his ability, he exploited all kinds of people until he had taken everything from them. He explains that even after becoming a monster, his consciousness remains human, and that is his nature. Revealing his identity, he introduces himself as Lai, a fourth-class con artist monster. Changing scenes, Kay is surrounded as Lai says he's seeing a hallucination. Warning that attacking is useless, he claims Kay is seeing his greatest fear. Then he says he'll strike at the first opening, and that victory will be his. Suddenly, an attack hits him head-on, interrupting his speech. Startled, he turns around and yells, asking who's there to interfere. Chen Shi appears, holding a huge weapon, the one who fired the shot. Seeing who it is, Lai recognizes the old man and yells in annoyance, "It's you again!" Furious, he tells the old man to die and prepares a powerful attack. Running for cover, Chen Shi dodges the projectiles exploding all around him. Behind cover, Chen Shi prepares for his next move. Without wasting any time, he fires his weapon at full power once more. Hit by the blast, Lai calls him a persistent and annoying bastard. Screaming for him to die, Lai launches another devastating attack in his direction. He then complains about his limited visibility and wonders where the old man went. He searches through the smoke, finding no one, but then he notices a movement. Suddenly, Kay appears from above and says he's finally found him. With Kay's appearance, Lai screams and tries to defend himself from the blow. Confused, he questions when Kay managed to escape the hallucination. He stands frozen, wondering how Kay escaped the illusion so quickly. Kay then says that he's just a fourth-class con artist. Continuing, He calls him a mere insect who only deceives people. Then he finishes by shouting that there's nothing special about Lai. With his form now revealed, Kei faces his motionless opponent. Without any reaction, his eye merely reflects the image before it. Complaining about the annoying tentacles, Lai tries to break free from the grip on his legs. He then yells for Kei to fall again, unleashing another wave of power. Seeing that the hallucination isn't working, he becomes completely confused by the situation. Completely in shock, he can't believe his strongest power has failed. Screaming that it's impossible, he attacks with all his might, telling Kei to die. At this, Kei thanks him, saying he made him remember the taste of death. Preparing for the end, he launches an attack with full force against Lai. With nowhere to run, Lai cowers and tries to defend himself from the blow. His attack hits Lai head-on, who is completely engulfed by the power. Covered in a green substance, Lai remains standing, but badly injured. With one last effort, he manages to curse Kei, calling him a bastard. Seeing the state of his enemy, Kei asks if this is already the end. Then he says that what happened was only the prologue of the story. He reveals that in 2 hours, the red dust will arrive, bringing the apocalypse. As he speaks, his body begins to gradually disintegrate on the ground. Saying he has no interest in his words, Kei moves in for the final blow. With nothing left to do, Lai simply screams in anger one last time. With a quick and precise movement, Kei destroys what remained of him. Impressed, he thinks that Lai still attacked even with such severe injuries. Determined to finish it, he says he will cut his head off. Aiming at the target, he prepares to deliver the killing blow. At that moment, the scene changes and he hears Rin's voice calling for Eiji. Noticing the change, he stops and tries to understand what is happening. The hallucination fades, and his mother asks if he is going to kill her. Understanding the tactic, he says that so this is how things are going to be. Suddenly, a series of small explosions begins to hit him from all sides. Then a large explosion occurs, destroying the ground where he was standing. Fallen into a crater, he supports himself on the ground amid the smoke. Looking around, he admits that the situation has become quite problematic now. Then Lai appears, stepping in front of him while laughing. With a blade in hand, he says that it's a shame, but Kei cannot kill him. Kei recognizes the weapon, as Lai warns him what happens if he gets stabbed. He asks if Kei knows, revealing that his heart will be completely red. With the blade, he explains that he can see all thoughts and movements. Seeing his condition, Lai warns that Kei is at his limit with one more hit. Irritated, Kei doesn't know what to do as a tentacle emerges behind him. Deciding to take a risk, he says he has no choice but to trust the old man. From a distance, Chen Shi fires and hits Lai's shoulder directly. Lai realizes he's going to use the old man, but Kei knows a normal weapon won't work. Letting out a laugh, he says he can see the location of his target. Then he boasts about being a lord and asks if the old man is there. Arriving at the location, he realizes no one is there and that he was deceived. Then he looks at the ground and sees a grenade left behind. Suddenly, the grenade explodes, sending debris in all directions. Hit directly, he is thrown far away by the force of the explosion. Kei realizes that the old man used a hand grenade to distract him. Fallen on the ground, he screams in pain amid all the smoke. Praising his reasoning, Kei wonders where the old man hid. Appearing from behind, Chen Shi attacks him with knives and calls him a bastard. With a rapid sequence, he delivers several blows without giving a chance to defend. Being attacked, Lai screams for the old man to die once and for all. He then calls him by name, leaving Lai surprised and confused. From the crater, Kei asks if Lai would like to know what his future is. Not understanding the question, Lai simply asks what he means by that. Firing once again, Chen Shi manages to hit the monster directly. Facing the gun barrel, Lai calls him a cunning and treacherous bastard. With a strong pain in his head, he wonders what is happening. In a vision, a man complains about having to deal with people he despises. He continues saying that no matter how much they try, they will always be useless. The humiliation ends with him being called an eternal loser. With a smile, Kei reveals that this is his future and asks what he thinks. Desperate, Lai screams for him to stop and questions if that is his future. Seeing the scene of humiliation, he shouts that he does not accept that at all. With his hands on his head, he denies that such a future could happen. Then a powerful punch hits him directly, interrupting his despair. Stunned by the blow, he wonders what else is coming now. Then an attack advances toward him with devastating force. Being pierced by the blow, he lets out a very loud scream of pain. With the final impact, he is thrown far away while Chen Shi watches. Beside him, Chen Shi lies on the ground, holding his knife and gun. Observing the enemy's body disintegrating, Kei says it can't be. Approaching, he says he doesn't care at all about his future. With a smile, he says that this time the one who was deceived was Lai. Spinning through the air, his head tries to make sense of what's happening. With a confused expression, he wonders what these strange visions are. Seeing images of people and places, he freezes, unable to react to what he sees. Then he questions what's being shown to him him as a creature appears. The giant creature reveals itself, holding a small person in its hand. Completely terrified, he is paralyzed with fear at the bizarre scene. Back in reality, Kay punches the ground hard after the vision. In the midst of the smoke, Chen Shi and Kay watch the defeated enemy on the ground, warning that the last blow was fatal. Kay says they need to escape. With a revelation, Lee's head screams that it all makes sense now. He says the warning to be careful with the baby was about Kay. Not understanding the reference, Kay just repeats the word baby in his mind. Lai then reveals that he is the true egg of calamity everyone is looking for. Surprised, Kay questions what this egg of calamity is. Screaming, Lai warns that he will be hunted by the organization forever. Without warning, Lai's head is completely destroyed by a single shot. Seeing this, Kay and Chen Shi look at each other, not understanding the situation. From a distance, a voice explains that whether the enemy is annihilated or not is irrelevant. A military vehicle suddenly arrives, stopping in the middle of the chaos. Getting out of the vehicle, a young man says that the real enemy is yourself. Seeing the movement, Kay realizes the army has arrived to interfere in the fight. Understanding the danger, Chen Shi warns that it's bad for him to stay there. With a serious expression, he calls the young man Sensei, showing that he knows him. Starting to remove his mask, the young man prepares to reveal his identity. Introducing himself as Lai On, he asks if this is what Chen taught him. Coming from behind, a monstrous creature prepares to attack Lai On. Leaping to attack, the monster lunges forward with its claws aimed at him. Effortlessly, the creature is instantly destroyed before it can even attack. Seeing the result, he just gives a calm and very confident smile. Hiding behind a wall, Kay watches the whole scene, unseen. Impressed, he can't believe the guy won without even lifting a finger. Chen asks what he came here for, warning that he won't go back without finding his grandson. Calling him Sensei, Lion asks him to return because of the emergency. He then takes a cell phone from his pocket to show Chen something important. Showing the photo, he says that Chen's grandson is safe and protected by them. He insists the army needs the sensei's command, but Chen doesn't answer. Overhearing the conversation, Kay wonders about his return to the army and the command. Then he suspects that the old man might be the head of the entire army. Lion asks if he wants to confirm if the person in the photo is really his grandson. After a moment, Chen agrees and tells them to go, so the two leave. Alone, Kay watches them leave, not knowing what to do now. Suddenly, his whole body paralyzes as if he's been hit by a massive shock. Powerless, he falls to the ground, realizing something is very wrong. Noticing the noise, Lion turns and looks in the direction of the commotion. Just then, a box explodes, revealing baby Eiji, who looks around, frightened. Approaching the spot, Lion stops and carefully observes the situation. Then he finds the baby on the ground and asks if it's a child. With a smile, he says he thought he saw another monster earlier. He puts his finger on the trigger, asking if it was the baby. Scared, Eiji wonders if he's really going to shoot without confirming first. Stopping the shot, Chen Shi yells for Lion to wait a moment. Turning to Lion, he explains that he put the baby there on purpose. Lion then just questions if that's really true, observing the scene. Picking the baby up, Chen tries to calm him as if nothing happened. Then he whispers, telling the boy to keep acting until the scene is over. Watching the scene, Lion comments that the baby seems to get along with him. He then suggests they all head to the military base together. In Chen's arms, Eiji realizes there's something strange about that guy. Looking closely at his face, he starts to remember something. Then he remembers seeing that same face in the enemy organization. Placing Eiji in the crib, a nurse tells him to get some sleep. Lion then dismisses the nurse, telling her she can go. Eiji wakes up confused, wondering where the old man and Lion are. Then he wonders what this place is, seeing so many other cribs around. Suddenly, one of the other babies in the room starts crying very loudly. The baby's crying gets louder and louder, echoing throughout the room. With a smile, Lion remarks how energetic that baby seems to be. He then tells the baby to be quiet, warning him not to wake the others. He then uses a strange power, suggesting the baby should sleep a little longer. Immediately, the baby stops crying and falls back asleep in the crib. Watching the scene, Eiji recognizes that man. If his memory serves him right, he remembers that this is Tank, a key figure in the enemy organization. He recalls that Tank's ability is to manipulate the blood in people's bodies. Seeing what happened, he realizes the baby passed out from a lack of oxygen. With this memory, he realizes that guy is dangerous and has tried to kill him before. Noticing something, Lion approaches and observes the baby intently. He comments that his ability awakened very early, since the dusting has barely begun. With a smile, he announces that it's almost time for the examination to begin. Trying to put him to sleep, he uses his power and tells the baby to rest. Seeing the baby fall asleep, Lion turns and slowly walks away from the crib. Then he says he's looking forward to seeing what will happen to him. As soon as he turns away, Eiji discreetly opens one of his eyes. Clenching his fist, he prepares for the next step of his plan. He sits up in the crib, ready to act at a moment's notice. After defeating a mental monster, he had managed to create a protective barrier. He waited for the blood flow to slow down so the decoy would be absorbed. Looking around, he tries to understand why there are so many babies in this place. Then he wonders if all these babies are the calamity eggs. He remembers hearing that term before in his past life, but he wasn't qualified to know what the organization meant by it. Thinking about the situation, he realizes Chen didn't fully trust Lai On. He questions this so-called examination, sensing the situation is bad. Then he remembers his mother and his dog, worried about what happened to them. Deciding to focus, he tells himself he has no time to worry about others. His priority now is to find a way to escape from this place. Trying to use his power, he stands up and extends his hand with a shout, but to his surprise, nothing happens, and the room remains silent. Realizing it didn't work, he understands he's in serious trouble. He remembers that all the cores he had merged into one, so he understands he can only use two specific abilities from now on. One is mental resistance, and the other is too powerful to use here. Without knowing their intentions, he can't use his power carelessly. With a frustrated expression, he's left not knowing what to do. He then concludes that, for now, he's just a common, helpless baby. It finally dawns on him just how dangerous his situation is. Looking at the crib next to him, he sees some very strange, long hair. Seeing the roots, he realizes that baby is also some kind of adapter. Startled by this discovery, he wonders if there are other adapters besides him. He then starts looking around, suspicious of what's happening. Then he sees that another baby is also manifesting a different power. Noticing another one, he wonders if all the children here are special. Then he realizes these are the adapters from his past life. Suddenly, the other baby's hair attacks him and pulls him away. Trying to break free, he complains that this thing won't let go. Annoyed, he wonders if they want him to use his powers in here. Just then, another child appears and grabs the hair holding him. With a single touch, the hair disintegrates, and he falls to the floor. With him on the floor, the child says he should have stayed asleep. Coming closer, he tells the newcomer to be quiet and not make a sound. Completely stunned, he just watches the scene unfold before him. Seeing the other boy, he realizes that at 5 years old he has already mastered his abilities. The boy then shouts, asking if it's really starting now. Without hesitation, the boy runs towards one of the doors in the hallway. Looking to the side, AG wonders if the other boy managed to escape. Suddenly, several nurses run down the hall, announcing the examination has begun. One of them then yells to get all the children from the cribs. Pretending to be asleep on the floor, he uses a strategy to trick the nurse. The nurse then approaches and carefully picks him up. As he's being carried, he wonders what they will be forced to do. Arriving at the location, the nurses place all the babies on a strange platform. Once on the platform, he clenches his fist, preparing for whatever comes next. Sensing the organization's presence, he suspects they are going to fight to the death. All the children then stand still, looking at the light coming from above. Suddenly, Lion appears in front of him, and AG starts to cry loudly. Suddenly, a huge monster appears and roars at the little boy. He then understands that the children were used as prey in his past life. Looking at the creature's foot, he notices it's chained up. Turning his head, he continues to observe the situation carefully. The creature struggles, but the chains prevent it from attacking directly. Completely chained, the monster waits for a chance to break free. On the other side, the other children watch the creature intently. Hearing a baby cry, the other boy runs towards it. Ignoring the danger, the boy runs in the direction of the chained creature. Approaching the baby, he quickly calms it with a pacifier. He then looks up, suddenly shouting Lion's name. He looks at the other children, analyzing each of their behaviors. Then he understands they force the babies to fight to awaken their abilities. Looking at the door, he finally understands the organization's hunting dog plan. With a determined look, he faces Lion, his next great adversary. With a smile, Lion asks the professor not to disappoint him. Then he presses a button on the floor and says that now they will begin. The chains then break, and the monster charges towards AG. Bracing for the attack, AG shouts, "Here it comes!" With a swift blow, the creature strikes the spot where he was. Sent flying backward, he gets a little hurt from the impact. Getting up, he faces the monster, but then looks towards the other children. He sees the other children huddled together in a corner of the room. Not knowing what to do, the children stay together, completely paralyzed. Realizing the situation, he notices the monster has suddenly changed its target. Ignoring AG, the monster runs towards the other group of children. With nowhere to run, the children scream as the monster approaches. Suddenly, the other boy shouts and several spikes shoot out from the ground. The spikes trap the monster's leg, stopping its attack against them. Completely immobilized, the monster is entangled by the plants and can't move. Giving a thumbs up, he praises the other boy's ability. With a smile, Lion says it's a vine ability, not bad. Then he looks at AG, suspecting he is the true wielder. He then comments that latent potential reveals itself in extreme moments. Growing irritated, the monster forcefully tries to break free from the vines. With a roar, the monster finally manages to break the vines and free itself. Seeing this, AG realizes the situation has now become very dangerous. Thinking about the situation, he realizes the ability isn't strong enough. Seeing there's no other way, he decides he'll have to fight himself. Throwing himself into the vines, he charges toward the monster. He then uses his divine barrier, preparing for direct combat. With the barrier, he manages to break free from the influence of Lion's ability. Blending in with the vines, he waits for the right moment to strike. Spotting an opening, he moves in and lands a direct hit on the creature. Suddenly, the monster slips and falls to the ground because of some sand. Not caring about the outcome, he says, "At least it wasn't bad." Lying on the ground, he realizes he probably hasn't been discovered yet. Suddenly, the monster grabs him with its tail and throws him into the air. As he's thrown away, the monster's tail catches him in midair. With a quick move, he uses his blade to free himself from the tail. As he is caught safely in the air, he realizes it's something different. Seeing the mechanical spider, he wonders if that's Hot's robot. Looking at the robot, he realizes it's not what he thought. The robot then places him safely on the ground and slowly backs away. Then he understands it's a security robot for the plan. Meanwhile, Lion watches the whole scene through a hologram. One of the soldiers reports that the security system has been successfully activated. In a flashback, Shuti appears tied up and being taken to the base. Lion says that bringing her back was the right choice for the plan. Looking at the screen, he sees Eiji making a ruckus and laughing loudly. He gets irritated and wonders if the brat thinks this is a game, but he understands it wouldn't be strange for his sensei to help ordinary kids. Trapped, Eiji thinks he has no choice but to follow the organization. He then wonders if he should become the organization's dog again. On the hologram, Lion notices something strange and takes a closer look. He sees the monster isn't moving and denies the possibility he's thinking of. With a grimace, Eiji says he'd rather die than do this again. Throwing himself off the cliff, he screams as the robot just watches him fall. Then a blade is thrown in his direction, passing very close as he falls. Down below, the monster tries to climb and ends up destroying the cliff wall. With the structure broken, the creature also falls along with the debris. Alone in the air, he continues to fall at high speed toward the ground. Back at the base, the soldier reports that the robot failed and a specimen has fallen. Worried, he asks the colonel if they should retrieve the specimen right now. Lion says the fall is too high and a rescue is unnecessary. He explains that Hot's robot can't handle a fifth-class monster. Then he adds that not even he could take it down easily. Giving an order, he tells the soldier not to do anything unnecessary. He decides to set the current plan aside and continue with the other project. Landing hard, he arrives in a completely unknown and dark place. Spinning in the air, his body materializes in a vortex of energy. Once on the ground, he steadies himself and observes the new environment around him. Not understanding where he is, he wonders what this place is. Seeing the destruction, he comments that the place looks like a junkyard. Analyzing the situation, he carefully scans the vast area. Then he spots a possible exit and wonders if that's the way out. With a serious look, he then prepares to move forward cautiously. Suddenly, several creatures rise, showing that leaving won't be so simple. Noticing the movement, he turns in surprise toward the sound. Observing the creatures, he notices they are all in a pitiful and worn-out state, so he decides he'll end their suffering immediately. Roaring loudly, the creatures charge at him with everything they've got. Without hesitation, he moves forward and lands a single fatal blow on one of them. Slicing the monster in half, he finishes the attack quickly and precisely. Without stopping, he continues to defend against attacks from all sides. With swift movements, he cuts down every creature that tries to get close. Dodging the attacks, he moves with agility among all the enemies. Finishing off the last enemy, he cuts the creature into several pieces at once. Sitting on the bodies, he observes the outcome of the battle that just ended. With a smile, he says he's starting to remember the old feeling. Then his tail absorbs all the cores from the defeated monsters. Seeing the number of cores, he realizes it will take some time to absorb them all. He then sits down and waits for the absorption to finish so he can continue. Looking back, he says it shouldn't be a problem right now. Surveying the area, he prepares to finally escape from that place. Suddenly, he notices a movement and looks toward the sound. At the top of the mountain, he sees there is one last enemy remaining. With a sword in hand, the man stares from a distance without saying a word. With a smirk, he says the king of this place doesn't seem like much. Splitting into three, the man surrounds him with swords drawn. With a smile, he recognizes him as a soldier-type monster. He then comments that it's a very rare ability to find. Then he charges forward, yelling that he will take that ability for himself. Charging forward, He runs toward his lone opponent. Then the soldier's 3 clones also run toward him to attack. As he passes them, he realizes the attack was just an illusion. Now on the ground, he turns around, not understanding what just happened. Suddenly, the 3 clones appear for real and attack him together. After a brief confrontation, the clones are defeated and fall to the ground. With a smile, he calls out to the original soldier who stood still. Complaining, he says the soldier isn't friendly for ignoring him. Getting very close, he begins to analyze the soldier more carefully. Even though he's right in front of him, he finds it strange that the soldier doesn't attack. Looking over his shoulder, he begins to understand his purpose. Then he realizes the soldiers were just guarding the only exit. Understanding the plan, he says that in that case, things change a bit. The soldier then gets into position, ready to defend the exit at all costs. Preparing to act, his eyes glow as he faces the final challenge. Seeing the 3 soldiers advance, he braces for their combined attack. One of the soldiers tries to hit him with a very fast high kick. Barely dodging, the blow grazes his face as it passes. With a swift attack, he surprises the soldier, who can barely react. He retreats from the blow, sliding back to gain some distance, but his attack is suddenly blocked by the soldier's firm blade. Repelled, he is surprised by the strength of his opponent's defense. Without difficulty, the soldier nullifies the blow and stands firm. In a quick counterattack, he manages to cut the soldier's arm. Impressed, he admits the guy's speed is high and that he underestimated him. Seeing the scratch, he says the fight is tough, but very interesting. Realizing it was just an arm, the other clones prepare to attack. Without hesitation, the remaining clones charge him together with everything they've got. He positions himself between the 2, dodging their attacks with agility. With a quick spin, he manages to hit both clones at the same time. With a swift move, he cuts down both clones simultaneously. Then he charges toward the original soldier for the final attack. Using his blade, he manages to cut the soldier into several pieces. With a victorious smile, he observes the result of his devastating attack. Suddenly, the clone's hand grabs his arm with great force. He turns and realizes he's been tricked by the soldier again. The soldier then says he'll pay him back in kind for the attack. Grabbing his arm, he throws him hard against the ice wall. The impact shatters the entire wall, kicking up dust everywhere. Reforming on the ground, the soldier's pieces begin to come together again. Now back on his feet, the 2 clones prepare to continue the battle against him. Facing the enemies, he stares at the 2 clones waiting for him. Moving his recovered arm, he says that now they are finally even. With a glance, the 2 clones prepare for a new coordinated attack. Merging into a single body, they advance with much greater strength. As he is hit, he realizes that the enemy's power has increased more than before. Understanding the ability, he sees that the power concentrates with fewer clones. Trying to defend himself from the blows, he complains that it's a troublesome enemy. Taking a hit to the back, he manages to block the soldier's attack. Being thrown with force, he ends up crashing against the metal door. Determined, he says he will attack both bodies at the same time. Preparing an area attack, he focuses to hit both enemies. Remembering the acquired ability, he says he still needs to study it better. Standing still, he comments that he has always been used to fighting in that form. With a smile, he says he has finally realized what he needed to do. The soldier's clones advance for a coordinated attack against him. Beginning to transform, he says he doesn't need to maintain his human form. His body then dissolves into a dark mass with no defined shape. With a smile, he says he will finish them in an instant. The dark mass advances and begins to envelop both clones at the same time. Several mouths appear in the mass, preparing to devour the enemies. Unable to escape, one of the clones is completely swallowed by the shadow. The other clone is also captured and quickly devoured by the dark mass. After defeating the clones, he returns to his original form and observes. Approaching the fallen soldier, he asks if the clones return to the body. At that moment, he notices an identification tag on the soldier's neck. Reading the name, he wonders if that is Barton from the Wolf Squad. With a shocked expression, he wonders if the squad was sent there. After absorbing, his tail returns to its original form and size. Then he picks up the core that fell from the defeated soldier's body. With the core in hand, he notices something strange and analyzes it. Joining the 2 parts, he realizes they form a single crystal. Seeing the new form, he is shocked by what he has just discovered. He understands that that monster was of the 5th class, a very high level. Relieved, he says it was good to have defeated it before it could merge. Then he wonders about the presence of a monster of that level there. Looking at the sky, he questions whether the apocalypse has truly begun. But he decides to focus, because in 2 days, the red dust will arrive. Picking up a bag, he prepares to finally leave that place behind. Walking toward the exit, he approaches the door to try to open it. At that moment, he hears a noise and realizes someone is approaching from the other side. Without hesitation, he shouts for the person to wait and not move. Suddenly, the door opens and Hot appears on the other side, surprised. At the door, one of the soldiers warns that if she moves, he will shoot. Behind Hot, the soldiers prepare to escort her out of the place. She complains that the place is very hot and she can't stand it. Starting to take off her clothes, she tries to cool herself from the intense heat. With a confused expression, she finally notices the change in the environment around her. She shouts, asking why the place now looks like a garbage dump. With the weapon aimed, the soldier shouts for her to shut up and come. Making a gesture, she asks if the soldier is new around here. Seeing his confusion, she says it seems he doesn't know where he is. With a confident look, she says that this is Hot's territory. Suddenly, the ceiling begins to crack and a loud noise echoes. Frightened, one of the soldiers wonders what that strange sound is. The ceiling collapses, and one of the giant robots falls on top of them. With nowhere to run, the two soldiers are thrown into the hole. Falling to their deaths, they let out one last scream of pure despair. Saying it served them right, she observes the result of the robot's attack. With her robot, she faces the place with a very superior air. Complaining about the mess, she says that now she will have a big problem. Then she says it's time for cleaning, and her robots advance. At that moment, the monsters that were on the lower floor reappear in the area. Activating for combat, the robots prepare to eliminate the new threat. Without hesitation, the robots fire and eliminate all the monsters that appear. After clearing the area, one of the robots remains standing in place. Then the robot's targeting system locks directly onto Kei's location. Seeing that he has been discovered, he prepares for the robot's attack. Noticing the approach, he prepares for a direct and quick confrontation. Coming from above, Hoti charges forward with a fast and powerful attack. He dodges her attack, breaking the ground with the force of the impact. With a confident smile, she advances again for the next attack. He dodges the first punch and prepares for an immediate counterattack, but she surprises him with a high kick, hitting his face directly. Irritated, she shouts that he was the one who destroyed her castle before. Surprised, he says he never thought she would be that strong. With a smile, she replies that what he saw was nothing. His eyes shine as he prepares for the next move of the fight. Several of her robots appear, surrounding him for a combined attack. Falling from the ceiling, the robots attack together and create a large explosion. One of the robots that was lying on the ground is completely destroyed. With the attack, the structure of the place becomes even more damaged and unstable. Seeing the destruction, she simply shows a victorious and very confident smile. Amid the smoke, one of the robots prepares its laser to fire. Then it shoots with full force, aiming at a wall of debris. Seeing the attack, she is surprised and does not understand what the target was. The shot raises a cloud of dust, revealing what was hidden. Behind the dust, she sees one of her robots being held by someone. The person then breaks the robot in half and throws it to the ground. Seeing the power, she shouts in shock that the other person is an adapter. Emerging from the smoke, Kei says he made a mistake by not delivering the supplies. She recognizes him and asks if he is the famous Kei, and he confirms it. Moving at high speed, he appears behind her without her noticing. Startled, she can barely react to his sudden appearance behind her. With his hand on her shoulder, he says he finally caught her. Trying to break free, she asks him to give her a moment. He releases her and steps back, keeping distance between them. Ready to fight, she moves toward him to begin the combat. Irritated, she wonders who that guy is and calls him a bastard. With a smile, he asks if that is her base, and she confirms. He says he wants to know what happened there, and if there is a way. Standing in the middle of the chaos, he finds it strange that the place is so clean. Seeing that he is not leaving, she complains and decides to act on her own. Her robots begin gathering the debris and cleaning up the mess. With the entrance blocked, she complains that she can't even enter the laboratory. Lying down, he simply watches the robots working while resting a bit. Using his tail, he tests the new power he absorbed from the enemies. With the higher level, he realizes that the usage time has increased. Lying on his tail, he decides he will keep his abilities a secret. After a while, she says the cleaning is finally complete. With the entrance cleared, the passage to the lab is finally revealed. He runs towards the door, while she stays behind watching. Inside the lab, computers and equipment are scattered around the room. Entering the room, she comments on the events of the past year. Angrily, she says she'll show them who messed up the place. She hits the enter key and starts searching for the data. The computer begins searching for the information she urgently needs. The search finds an image of Lion in front of the cave door. The scene changes. A woman with white hair watches everything from a distance. She comments that it looks like Lion has fallen into a troublesome trap. With a smile, he says he doesn't have time to talk to her. She calls him impatient, noticing the serious look on his face. Then she says that in that case, things are going to be a little different. Without hesitation, Hesitating, she attacks, but he draws his weapon and prepares to fire. She dodges the shot, and the two charge into a direct confrontation. As he tries to reload, his gun is completely destroyed by her attack. With a look of rage, he glares at the woman who just attacked him. Coming from above, she pierces his hand with a quick, precise strike. Irritated, he yells as she faces him with a confident smirk. With his hand pierced, he struggles to hold his weapon. He attacks with all his might, but she easily dodges his blow. Moving away, she floats in the air as he prepares to continue. Without a word, he observes the wound on his hand, analyzing the situation. She taunts him, saying he's now afraid of a small wound. She warns him that without treatment, he'll bleed to death. With a smile, she says he's quite a handful for a soldier. He questions what she's thinking, attacking a soldier on a military base. Looking at her, he asks what she's really planning here. With a smile, she tells him not to get so nervous. Holding a syringe, she says she came to sell a product from the organization. Confused, he wonders what she meant by special medicine. Getting closer, she stares at him with a mysterious, intimidating gaze. Her eyes glow, and he's caught in some kind of illusion. Paralyzed, he just watches as the illusion takes over his mind. Seeing his reaction, she wonders if he understands the situation. In his mind, he sees a terrifying creature coming towards him. Startled, he snaps back to reality and moves away from the woman. Suddenly, tentacles shoot out from his back, pinning him to the ground. Feeling the pain, he glares at the soldiers controlling the tentacles. On the other side, the soldiers maintain control, watching the scene intently. Suddenly, one of the soldiers fires, hitting a comrade in the shoulder. Falling to the ground, he wonders what just happened. Kneeling, he asks the woman what she wants with him. With a smile, she says he is destined to receive her gift. She then shows a tarot card that represents him as a knight. Holding the syringe, he finally understands what she's planning. With a look of rage, he yells, "So that's how it's going to be!" Watching the woman on the screen, he asks Hot to zoom in on her face. Doing as he asked, she enlarges the image for a better view. Analyzing the image, he recognizes her as someone from the organization's high command. He remembers seeing that woman among several tarot cards. Seeing the woman on screen, he says the pattern in her eyes is the Wheel of Fortune. Angrily, he finally realizes she was the one who planned everything from the beginning. Complaining about the heat, she tries to fan herself with her hands. Beside her, he asks who that woman is, as he's never seen her before. Surprised, she says she can't believe Lai-on was a traitor to the army. Looking at her, he approaches with a slightly sinister smile. Seeing his behavior, she moves back a little, still seated in her chair. A small robot appears and tells the other to continue with their plan. The woman says she will now prepare a stage for his revenge. With a smile, she asks what he thinks of her idea. Eagerly, he says he's looking forward to seeing what happens. In a secret location, a mysterious box is covered by a cloth. A man asks Lai-on if he's going to use that for experiments. With a smile, the man warns him that the master will be angry with him. Lai-on replies that may be true, but he has a plan. He says that if everything goes right, no one will ever discover the secret. Suddenly, a cage with a creature inside drops into the middle of the room. Surprised, the two men wonder what the hell that thing is. Inside the cage, the creature thrashes about, trying to escape violently. One of the men tries to defend himself, but is hit head-on by the attack. Seeing this, the man glares at it with a look of pure rage. The creature's eyes glow as it prepares for the next fatal attack. With a scream, the man begins to transform into a bizarre creature. Another soldier is hit and also suddenly begins to transform. Kneeling, the man tries to resist the transformation, but he can't. With his mask broken, he screams Lai-on's name in despair. With a smirk, Lai-on ignores the scream, pondering his own plan. He wonders if the soldier is a special type, but concludes he isn't ready yet. Moving away, he says he will become an extremely rare adapter. The soldier says they grew up together, but were betrayed anyway. With a hateful glare, he accuses Lai-on of killing him without mercy. Lai-on ignores him and says it's now the soldier's turn to undergo mutation. Suddenly, several monsters attack Lai-on at once, surrounding him. Unfazed, he releases a wave of energy, destroying all the monsters. Wiping his face, he complains that monster blood is filthy. Seeing this, the scientists scream, asking what Lai-on really is. Suddenly, a blue liquid begins to engulf the scientists in the room. The liquid spreads, and Lai-on just watches the scene unfold. The soldier tries to fight, but is also caught and immobilized by the liquid. Unable to escape, he cries out as the liquid spreads through the doorway. Seeing it escape, he yells for Lai-on not to let it get out. Lai-on looks at him, remembering there are many innocent people out there. With a smile, he stops the liquid with his hands, preventing its escape. Then he throws the liquid away, clearing the doorway. Closing the door, he says the real fun is just beginning. Thinking about the monsters, he says he can't let them out no matter what. Remembering everyone, he says there are too many people out there to protect. With a determined look, he vows to protect this place and let no one escape. Raising his sword, he prepares to defend the exit with everything he's got. Now in position, he waits for the first move from anyone who approaches. Just then, someone appears at the door and stops, taking in the scene. With a serious expression, he stares at the completely destroyed area in front of him. Then he sees the soldier standing over the monsters and calls out his name, Barton. Seeing the destruction, he asks what on earth happened here. With a frightened look, he tries to make sense of the scene before him. Seeing the bodies on the floor, he asks if Barton was responsible for all this. One of the fallen soldiers on the ground tries to get up, but can't. Saying he's going to get help, he turns and runs off in a panic. Running as fast as he can, he tries to escape to call for reinforcements. Suddenly, an attack hits him square on, throwing him to the ground. As he's pierced, he screams in pain while Barton just watches the scene unfold. With a single blow, Barton slams him to the ground with full force. Down and powerless, the soldier stares at Barton with fear in his eyes. With no strength left, he begs Lyon not to leave. Not understanding a thing, he wonders what the hell is happening to everyone. Approaching him, Barton steps on the soldier's head, finishing him off for good. Watching the scene on the monitor, the image suddenly starts to fail. Complaining, Hot says the camera broke and she can't get any more information. Observing the scene, Kay realizes she doesn't know much about the organization. With a serious look, he understands that she's not a real threat. He then focuses on the biggest threat, the monster that killed him before. Seeing the creature trapped, he wonders if the organization caused this catastrophe. That's when he understands the squad would have a good reason to fight. With a tentacle, he grabs her and puts her back in the chair. Sitting on the floor, he realizes he hasn't eaten anything since he arrived. Sitting in her chair, she complains that it's a problem not being able to eat much. Seeing that he isn't moving, she calls out to him to see if he's okay. With a smile, he asks if her work is done yet. Laughing, she says she can't do anything since the camera broke. He gets closer and tells her to wait a minute, holding the chair. With a smirk, he informs her that she's no longer necessary to him. In one move, he throws her, chair and all, against the computers. Seeing this, the soldiers scream from their monitors for him to stop. One of the soldiers yells for him to stop, but the transmission is cut off. As she's thrown, she shatters the chair and one of the computers on impact. He steps on her on the ground, but a soldier appears and kicks him. Dodging, he and the soldier face off in the middle of the control room. Turning around, he recognizes the face of the man who just arrived. Surprised, the man asks what he's doing here. Watching the interaction, she asks if her grandpa knows this guy. Pointing at the man, he asks in confusion if he's her grandfather. Utterly confused, the three of them stare at each other in the middle of the wrecked room. Sitting on the floor, they discuss Lyon's bizarre experiments. Seeing that the enemy is the same, he asks if Chen has a plan, but she interrupts them, yelling that it's mealtime first. While eating a cookie, she is introduced as the commander's biological granddaughter. With a serious expression, he is introduced as the second in command. He receives a carton of milk, as it's all he can eat right now. Looking at the carton, he's surprised by what he was given to eat. She laughs, mocking him for only being able to drink milk like a baby. Seeing the scene, he wonders if they should tell her the truth. With a serious look, Chen says it's a matter of sincerity. Sipping a soda, she completely ignores their conversation. Confused, she asks what they're talking about, not understanding a thing. Deciding to tell her, he agrees to reveal his true identity. His shadow begins to writhe, preparing for the big reveal. The shadow then dissipates, revealing his true baby form. In shock, she spits out her drink, unable to believe what she's seeing. Screaming, she asks what this means, totally confused by the scene. Holding her cup, she wonders what that creature in front of her is. Still in disbelief, she questions if he was a child this whole time. Sitting down, she gets closer and says he must be about a year old, but he stops her, telling her not to touch him so casually. With a swat, she hits his hand, and Chen scolds her. She then complains to her grandpa, saying they're both teasing her. Seeing this, he thinks that now they look down on him because of his form. In a flashback, he remembers that he couldn't use his full power. Determined, he decides it's better to keep his reincarnation a secret for now. He wonders when he'll be able to play his final card and reveal everything. Back in the present, he asks Chen what the next move is. Chen stands up and warns that there are other units inside the base. He adds that the Snow Wolf squad is the strongest. Explaining the situation, he says the officers have already been defeated by Lyon. Looking at the ceiling, he laments that the organization is behind everything. With a serious look, he says they need to save the children first. Facing the baby, he stares at him with a very serious expression. Seeing the determination in his eyes, He understands they're on the same side. Worried, he warns that if the squad notices anything, they'll be in trouble. With a smile, she tells him not to underestimate her hacking skills. Messing with the computers, she starts working on what he asked. Several of her robots spread out through the cave to begin the operation. With their lights on, the robots begin scanning the entire perimeter. The scan finds nothing, leaving the area clear for the plan. With a smile, she warns that she'll charge a lot for the remote operation. At that, Chen grabs her by the collar of her shirt and lifts her into the air. He understands the situation and says they can't stay here any longer. Without hesitation, he throws her out of the control room with force. Lying on the floor, she watches the scene with an expression of shock and fear. He asks if he can leave the rescue of the children to the commander. Admitting he caused trouble, the baby approaches Chen to talk, but he says everything is fine now and shows off his shadow ability. Using the shadows, he creates a perfect clone of himself as a baby. He says he will free the children and hide them, asking Chen to trust him. With a smile, he tells the commander not to screw things up. Walking through the door, Chen replies that's his line, not his. Alone, he prepares for the next phase of his action plan. With a smirk, he says that if the plan works as expected, he shouts that Lion's death is getting closer and closer. Trapped on the platform, the children scream in fear as the monster stares them down. Seeing this, the baby clone hides and watches everything carefully. Behind a robot, he waits for the right moment to act unnoticed. The monster then prepares to attack, choosing its first victim on the platform. In a panic, the children scream for the monster not to attack them now. With a roar, the monster readies its attack and lunges forward with full force. Suddenly, one of the children holds out her hand and uses a strange ability. With a determined look, she faces the monster and prepares to fight. Holding onto the edge, she watches the situation with a mix of focus and fear. She wonders who she should take to a safe place first. Looking at the Vine Boy, she gives up on him since he'll just scream. Then she thinks of the transparent boy, but realizes he's already safe. Seeing this, she says she can't take that child away. Deciding to act, he says he'll get the least visible ones first. With a quick move, he uses his ability and rushes in for the rescue. Startled, one of the boys slips and nearly falls off the metal platform. In the confusion, the children start to fall, one by one. Seeing this, one of the boys despairs as he watches them fall. In the control room, a soldier reports that several specimens have fallen into the arena. Watching the scene, the soldier notices the security robot emerged unscathed. He wonders if the robot has always moved with such agility. After the fall, the children end up scattered across the dark arena floor. Looking at the platform, the baby clone sighs in relief. That was close. Suddenly, one of the children grabs him and asks who he is. The scene changes. A man walks down a hallway toward a room. Inside, a creature screams in pain while trapped in a cage. With a smile, the man watches, completely satisfied with the result. The creature thrashes about, trying to escape the cage with all its strength. Lion opens the door and observes the scene with a serious expression. He tells the man to keep the creature quiet as the noise might leak out. Annoyed, he asks if that's any way to speak to the master. With a creepy smile, he randomly yells the word panties. Lion is confused as the man releases a strange energy. The energy throws Lion to the ground and he screams in pain. Kneeling, he apologizes and says his tone was disrespectful. Kneeling on the floor, the man braces for the woman's next move. Appearing from behind, she grabs him and asks if he's messed everything up. Being hugged tightly, he calls her sister and complains about the pain. Crying, he yells that he's a poor wretch and is suffering from the hug. Thrown aside, he hits his back hard against the cage bars. She then taunts him, asking if he isn't a powerful lord. He wonders why it still hurts so much, even with the blessing. As he's electrocuted, he screams in pain while the creature thrashes in its cage. With the man trapped, she watches the scene with a calm expression. She wonders why Lion hasn't reported the situation yet. On the ground, he says everything is still in the experimental phase of the plan. Observing the scene, she comments on the creation of new mutants to be used as pawns. Shouting the word hack, he tries to use one of his special abilities. A strange energy then moves toward the clone, who braces himself. With a serious look, the boy asks what his objective is. Yelling for him to tell him everything, the boy charges forward to attack. Facing the attack, the clone just watches without any reaction. The blow hits the ground, kicking up dust all over the battle arena. Complaining about the situation, he says it's one enemy after another. Falling to the ground, he manages to recover quickly from the force of the impact. Back on his feet, he faces his opponent, seemingly unharmed. With a calm look, he tells the boy not to overdo it. He then calls him Xiao En, confirming his opponent's identity. Without hesitation, the boy charges again, using a completely different ability. As he attacks, the other children watch the fight from a distance. Terrified, it's revealed that he was seriously injured, but managed to survive. Not only did he survive, but he also became a new user. He says it seems the boy got that body as a price to pay. Seeing the robot scan, he continues to watch the situation from a distance. Hidden, he invites the boy, asking if they should go back to the base together. The boy replies that depending on the situation, some sacrifices are inevitable. He questions him, asking if the boy is dreaming or something. Pointing to the children, he asks if throwing them in here is a circumstance. Seeing that he doesn't understand, the boy prepares to explain the situation. He says his duty as a soldier is just to follow orders. Shouting, he says that Commander Lai On gave him those orders. Under attack, the baby clone dodges the blow without much trouble. With a smile, he says the ability is good, but it's a shame. He then says he's not good at convincing people with words. Seeing the energy surrounding him, the boy is scared and frozen. A shadow creature materializes, preparing for the imminent attack. With a calm look, he warns that he's going to beat him until he understands. Under attack, the boy uses his ability and manages to defend himself from the blow. The baby clone charges forward, hitting the boy with a swift attack. The blow sends the boy flying, but he manages to recover in midair. From a distance, one of the surveillance robots watches the whole scene intently. In a surprise attack, the baby clone manages to destroy the robot. An image of Chen appears, asking since when Lai On was the commander. Seeing his boss, the boy tries to speak but is too scared to react. Chen says that a soldier is only a soldier because he is human first. As commander, he orders the boy to help the other children. With a serious look, he faces the baby clone, unsure of what to do. Seeing the hesitation, he yells, and the boy replies, "Yes, sir!" Elsewhere, a group of men walk down a dark hallway. One of them complains that collecting the fallen brats is a pain and complicated. Another man says it's perfect for testing his newly acquired powers. With one punch, he destroys a wall and plans what he's going to say. The snakes on his head suddenly stir, sensing a strange presence. Scared, he yells for them to wait and asks what that is approaching. At that moment, a loud, fast sound begins to echo through the dark hallway. They all turn around, trying to see what's coming at high speed in the darkness. On some kind of boat, the children speed forward together. Pointing ahead, the baby excitedly shouts for them to keep going straight, but the boy scolds him, telling him not to give orders on his own. With the speed, one of the children gets sick and throws up on the boat. Seeing this, the men wonder what that thing is coming toward them. With a smile, the baby says they're just a bunch of unimportant weaklings. Seeing the boat approach, the men brace for the imminent impact. With a single blow, the boat hurls them aside, clearing a path down the hall. Thrown to the ground, they groan about the force of the attack that hit them. Enraged, one of the men shouts, calling the kids damn brats. Grabbing his radio, he prepares to call for backup and alert the base. Shouting into the radio, he warns that the specimens are out of control. In another room, soldiers gather and prepare for the emergency. Complaining about the noise, the baby calls them loud and disorganized. Back in the room, Hot complains about the mess and the noise around them. Looking at the map, she warns that everyone is heading to their location. Sighing, she complains that they were planning to use her to clean up the mess. But she says whatever, and that she'll lend a hand with the escape. With her mechanical arms, she readies herself for a four-handed attack. Across the hall, soldiers watch the scene intently. Laughing loudly, the baby cheers as the boat continues to move forward. Running, the soldiers follow the boat and shout for everyone to pursue it. Suddenly, the defense system activates and begins attacking the soldiers. Moving through the hallway, the boat manages to escape the automated attacks unscathed. Hidden, the soldiers wait for the boat to get closer for an ambush. Suddenly, a battle robot appears, blocking the boat's path. In the control room, the map shows the location of all enemies. With one attack, the boat destroys the soldier's barricade and pushes forward. With a smirk, the baby brags about his intelligence skills. One of the robots tells him to look ahead and focus. From the control room, she announces that someone has arrived to help with the escape. Seeing the new soldiers, he realizes they are Lai On's elite forces. Looking ahead, he sees the elite soldiers blocking the path. With a grin, one of the soldiers says he's going to see who's stronger. Another soldier complains that he hasn't eaten meat in a long time and is hungry. They all shout that the winner takes all, just like they've always done before a fight. With a signal, the squad leader gives the order for everyone to fire. Seeing the attack, the boy prepares to defend the children on the boat. Using his ability, he creates a wall of ice and yells for them not to move. The soldiers' bullets hit the ice wall with great force. One of the bullets manages to pierce the ice wall and keeps going. The bullet grazes one of the children, who screams in fear. Suddenly, a shadow appears and manages to stop the bullet in midair. Seeing this, the baby complains that their firepower is strong. He says he needs to transform, as he can't stay trapped there. Under attack, he dodges the bullet and realizes he's in danger. Several soldiers appear, firing from all sides without a moment's pause. Another soldier joins the attack, increasing the pressure on him and the children. Realizing he's running out of time, he complains that he's not going to make it. One of the bullets flies very close to one of the children's faces. With an expression of rage, he prepares to counter the attack. With a shout, one of the children releases a powerful wave of energy. The bullet that was about to hit him is deflected back toward the soldier. Startled, one of the boys floats in the air, dodging the falling debris. Another boy uses his ability and creates ice spikes all over the floor. One of the soldiers lunges with a knife but is stopped by the surprise attack. From a distance, the baby watches the scene with a very confident look. With a combined attack, the children manage to defeat the last two soldiers. Looking at the scene, the boy is surprised by what he just saw. With a smile, he reveals that his abilities are manipulation and freezing. A large elevator platform is revealed in the center of the military base. Seeing the platform, he prepares to use it as an escape route. With a single blow, he breaks part of the structure to create a ramp. Using the ramp, he slides the boat upwards at high speed. Realizing the center is made of metal, he increases the suction power. Flying through the air, he dodges the emerging ice spikes. With its momentum, the boat continues to rise toward the elevator platform. Landing safely, the boat stops in the middle of the metal platform. One of the boys asks if this is the right place, and he confirms it is. Looking around, he wonders what they should do next. With a smile, the boy says it's his plan, of course. He then hands a mysterious object to the girl beside him. Thanking him, she calls him Big Brother and smiles at him. He complains about the firepower, remembering the attack that almost hit them. Seeing her smile, he realizes it's been a while since he heard a "thank you." A mysterious voice asks if playtime is finally over. Down below, Lion slowly approaches the platform where the children are. Suddenly, he appears in front of them, holding some broken robot cables. Seeing the enemy, the boy positions himself to protect the other children. Lion informs them that their graduation ceremony has been moved up a bit. Not understanding anything, the baby wonders why this is happening now. Elsewhere, Hati complains that she blocked all surveillance and alarms. She wonders how their location was exposed, even with everything blocked. Lion praises her skills, but says he has his own tricks. Then he reveals he created something she couldn't possibly block. Inside a cage, the mysterious creature stands still, waiting for the right moment. The cage begins to shake, and the creature pulses with a strange energy. In the control room, a soldier asks Lion what's happening. He explains that the calamity eggs are resonating with the caged creature. The woman then asks if there were any interesting children among his little rats. He explains that someone among them is causing the calamity eggs to react. Scared, the baby asks what these so-called calamity eggs are. Seeing the troop of soldiers, he realizes the path behind him is blocked. Lion praises the boy's life force, which allowed him to survive the attack. He admits that he seems to have underestimated the boy's power a little, but he warns that no explanations are needed, as he will die anyway. With his ability activated, the baby prepares for any attack that comes his way. Suddenly, a loud beep echoes through the room, interrupting their conversation. From one of the doors, Chen Shi appears with his troop of soldiers. Seeing their commander, the troop gets into position and awaits further orders. Surprised, Lion wonders what his old teacher is doing there. With a kick, he breaks down the door and announces he has investigated everything. All the soldiers shout, calling Lion a traitor who killed their comrades. With a shout, he orders Lion to drop his weapons immediately. Seeing the scene, the soldiers wonder if Lion is really a traitor. Suddenly, one of the soldiers' bodies begins to transform strangely. Crying for help, he desperately screams for Lion to save him from the transformation. Then the soldier's body explodes, scattering debris everywhere. With a smile, Lion asks if anyone else still considers him a traitor. Seeing this, Chen Shi asks if he implanted bombs in all of his subordinates. Lion then asks if he thinks he can afford to look away. On the floor, all the other soldiers are down, victims of the same attack. He advances with his sword, ready to strike Chen with full force. With a serious look, Chen braces for the incoming blow. With a smile, he bids farewell to his former teacher and master. Chen manages to block the attack, but the sword shatters on impact. Surprised, Lion can't believe his attack was so easily defended. He praises Chen's reaction speed, which caught him completely by surprise. From a distance, the baby watches the fight, carefully analyzing the situation. He realizes that's no ordinary cut from a normal sword. The sword causes a high-frequency resonance with the body's fluids. This resonance tears the body's tissue from the inside out. He explains that the sword is just a bladeless mass of blood, but on the other hand, he says it cuts through flesh like tofu. Just then, Chen fires, forcing Lion to retreat. With his soldiers, he prepares for the next move. With a smile, he asks for help to avoid being purged by his superiors. Seeing his request, the soldiers fall silent, unsure how to react. Suddenly, a massive fiery explosion erupts, catching everyone by surprise. Shocked, Chen Shi can't believe what just happened. The attack hits him head-on, violently piercing through his body. With a smirk, Lion praises his former teacher's clever fighting. He then challenges him, asking how he'll dodge the next attack. Coming from above, an attack pierces Chen Shi, who is unable to defend himself. With a cry of pain, he spits blood and falls to the ground, wounded. Down, he tries to get up, but he's too weak to keep fighting. With a smile, Lion asks if he wants to retreat for now. He warns that no one can escape, confidently showing off his dual swords. With a menacing look, he wonders who his next victim will be. Turning to the children, he stares them down with a terrifying smile. Not knowing what to do, the boy prepares to protect the other children. Suddenly, a voice asks if they said he could leave. Appearing out of nowhere, the baby's clone asks if they were running away. Lion turns around, surprised, unable to believe what he's seeing. Seeing Chen Shi and the others on the ground, he wonders what happened. Understanding the situation, he realizes that was just a body clone. With a smile, the baby says the situation has now become quite troublesome. He complains that controlling so many bodies at once is exhausting. Back in the room, Hot says she's the one who designed the armor, but she complains that she doesn't have operational privileges for the equipment. Suddenly, several armored soldiers appear, rappelling down from the ceiling. Commander Chen Shi leads the troop, ready for the approaching battle. Seeing the equipment, he and Chen Shi exchange a knowing glance. In a flashback, he remembers the scene he saw at the destroyed site. He asks Chen if there's any unused equipment left in the army. Chen confirms, but warns that military authorization is required to use it. With a smile, he says that now they have a legitimate reason. With a serious look, Chen says he has permission from his superiors to act. Surrounded on all sides, Lion becomes the main target. Seeing he has no way out, he prepares to give the command. On top of a giant suit of armor, he shouts for everyone to listen carefully. Then he gives the order, yelling loudly that the operation is about to begin.